Greetings to all of you, dear ones. We are the group of 9, as you would suspect. Yet we are here in our totality, not expecting another. We've joined in connection to bring you messages, to bring you energies from home. For you, dear ones, are sacred angels walking a very dense planet at a very difficult time. What we tell you, dear ones, is that you've come in with very certain attributes, things that you've worked very hard on to allow yourself to be who you are. You've come in with this incredible sensitivity. Yes, you can call it hypersensitive, you can call it supersensitive, whatever the case. You are empaths, each and every one of you. And that makes it so difficult sometimes to carry all the energy from home that you wish to carry, because you feel everything from every aspect of the earth and her inhabitants. So what we're telling you, dear ones, is at this time you're starting to pick up all sorts of energies which you've never had to deal with before. And as humans that you are, you pick this up and bring this into your own core energy. You wrap your whole torus around it, and you bring it into your heart chakra. Well, you can clear that, dear ones. There are plenty of ways of doing that. But there are so many things now taking place on planet Earth. First, we'd like to remind you that you have completed a timeline cross, a very important timeline cross, one that has now brought a whole wave of sacred feminine energy to the planet. Yes, it has not landed completely yet, but it is planted in place. Now for it to grow, for it to evolve into new energies, it simply means that you must take that energy and work with it. You must nurture it to give it the light, the water, all the sustenance that it needs to be able to do that and grow and find its way into your reality. It is here. You'll see it over and over again. There are many ways that it's showing up. And yet, because of all the changes, you are balancers. Each and every one of you has this energy that if you see something out of balance, you must push it back into balance. It is your nature to do so. And as empathic beings, picking up on everyone's inequalities in energies and their differences in their belief systems. Sometimes it makes it very difficult for people of your nature to be on planet Earth. So if you are taking these things and internalizing them, please know, dear ones, that there are ways around this now. There are new levels of releasing stress, especially the type of stress that can build up in the empaths of planet Earth. You are so loved on this side of the veil, dear ones. But we see what you're doing. We know who you are. We know the challenges that you go through. And we're so proud. For the work you're doing, even though it cannot always be seen by yourself, is making a huge difference on this planet. You are planting seeds of light that are great indeed. You are, as we've mentioned several times, the greatest angels that have ever lived. To take off your wings, to pretend to be human, to experience those difficulties of balancing that energy is a great task indeed. And we understand the difficulties associated with it. But you see, we have the best people on the job, and that is absolutely critical. You have made it. You've taken your seat in the new world. And now it starts to evolve around you. As it does, dear ones, there is going to be new forms of stress, new ways of bringing energy in that you have difficulty holding in your physical body. Your own bodysuit is the one that acts automatically, for you are of two brains. The automatic brain which happens very quickly, that you program through your successes and your failures, your belief systems, all the rest of it, and your reasoning brain, which weighs everything out. But the challenge is right now, with the stresses that you're feeling on this planet, it's very difficult to you engage the reasoning brain because it does not always make sense. What you see in the world around you is an effect that's being made, and very difficult for you to balance sometimes. So know that you are on the right path. There is much that's opening up right now for you to step forward into a higher vibration. Dear ones, there have always been those who can walk in that higher vibration. And yet, many times, it's because they detach a little bit. They walk in a higher vibration because they are not hooked in the way that you are hooked into. So as the earth evolves, as you start moving into this higher state, it can feel strange at first. It can be somewhat of a challenge in the beginning. But you know that you are on the job. You are the perfect person for this work. You've said so yourself. And here you are. Allow yourself to breathe all of that in. What we will do is to give you a new grounding of this energy for your physical body and your bodysuit that you wear. Allows you to bring this energy through, feel it as you will, but also to allow it to fully go through you and ground into the earth rather than stay stuck in the physical body. That is a new technique. It's a breathing technique that many of you can start using right away. It's a very simple process. You take 3 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. And on the 3rd breath, we'll ask you to let half of it out and stop breathing. Now, we have been doing this in the Life Master class for some years now to work on being able to find that state where you simply are. It takes you out of the thought process. It takes you out of the balancing that you so desire to do on your planet. It allows things to be natural. So let's do that now. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And one more. In, let half of it out, and just be for a moment. Feel your eyes get brighter. Feel the light building in your own energy field. Perfect. That takes all the stress for just those few moments and places it in a new part of your physical being. Allows you to move through it in a different way. That is helpful for the near future. There's much going on, dear ones. You're going to see a lot of changes during this entire year. There's so much taking place, so much rearranging, so many things that are happening. You have all the fun things that are taking place in the cosmos. You have the solar eclipse. You have different aspects of energy portals opening up and new energy coming into this planet. For the empaths, it's going to feel like you're constantly trying to balance something. Oh, here's another wave of energy coming in. How do we integrate that? Just let it flow upon you. Feel the beautiful waves of energy as they come into the planet. And as you feel them, take them as a new taste of energy. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is not my favorite, but it will pass soon. Here's a new one. Here, let's try this one on. For you are grand beings far beyond your understanding. You are magicians, each and every one of you. Merlin would be very proud at what he has started here. He has placed much of this magic that we call practical magic. No, there's nothing that you must do to do it other than to recognize that you are capable of it in every single moment of time. You have the abilities to create magic in your world around you every second of every day. What magic do you wish to create? Well, we tell you, your first concern goes to the big issues. What about the wars? What about all the death that we're seeing on the planet? What about all the connection and the suffering? Can we not fix that immediately? You can, but it needs to be in the collective, not the single. When one person takes responsibility for that, it becomes a challenge because you become overburdened with the energy that you're trying to carry. And that creates challenges because the light workers are needed on this planet more than ever before. Many of you, of course, are waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning again. And we say again because we've identified the 3 a.m. club before. But now more and more of you are starting to awaken in the middle of the night. And of course, you're in a hyper-creative time. So what usually happens is you look at your watch, you look at your clock, and you go, oh, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. Be careful what you say to yourselves during this time. It is a very sacred time. As the one called Meg just mentioned, what you speak to yourself becomes real. You're programming your own bodysuit. You're programming your automatic brain to react in a certain way. Give it the highest material that you can give it. Give it the love that you all have for each other. And yet, probably the most difficult to love in all of that equation is self-love. That is the challenge that many of you face. It is easy to look around you, fall in love, to honor people, to see the connections that you all have in different ways. And yet it's very difficult for you to look in the mirror and not find the imperfections that you see, but rather look at the spirit deep within. These are magical times, dear ones. You're stepping in a higher vibration of the new planet Earth, and it is getting very interesting at this point. Now, there are several things that are coming immediately we will tell you about. For as the timeline cross from Eris has now left a permanent imprint, you're integrating that imprint. As such, you'll see pullbacks, you'll see pushes forward, you'll see integration of the new energy in the feminine form, and you'll also see massive pushback against it. Every time humanity starts to rise, there are those that reach up and say, no, we wish to hang on to the old. We wish to hang on to the old way. Because your tendency is to look back in your history and think that somehow it was perfect. And over here in the future, you have things that you must create in new ways. So you'll tend to go back toward the normal, toward the safety your history. It's long gone, dear ones. It's not there for you to reach to anymore. It's passing very quickly. So becoming change experts is the new rule for light workers everywhere. To be able to step into a higher vibrational state without fear, without knowing exactly where you're going, and still have the capabilities of moving forward with a beautiful smile on your face. Are you going to lose that sensitivity that you have? No. You will need it, dear ones. But you must master it as well, so that it does not overwhelm you. Dear ones, you have this beautiful toroid in front of your heart chakra. It's like a donut, and it's turning in this beautiful way to where every time you end up putting out an energy from your heart, that it sends it out into the world. It sends a beam of light to connect to other beings everywhere. But when you become really stressed, when you're confused about your energy, that toroid slows down. And it makes it more difficult for you to send out your energy. And at a certain point, if you have trauma, if you have difficulties you cannot deal with, what happens is the toroid stops altogether, or sometimes even reverses itself. So the beam of love and light that you send out into the world is now going back into you. And that creates the situations that you call depression, that you call anxiety. It sets up the opportunity to experience all sorts of inward pressure because all of your creativity cannot get out. That is a new stress. And many of you have worked with these in different ways before, but never to this degree now. The planet is changing. On top of that, you are all incredibly empathic, not only to each other, but to the earth herself. So changes within the planet, changes within the earth herself, are being picked up and felt within your physical beings. And of course, you're the balancers. You're the ones that try to balance everything that you possibly can. So in making sense of this, sometimes it becomes very challenging to be able to understand what is taking place. You're closer than you think. You are the magicians on the game board. You will soon come up with many modalities that will help you take your power and step forward. It is a new world, dear ones. Sometimes things don't work the same way that they used to. Sometimes you will feel new things that you've never felt before. Much of this change is coming later in this year. April will be a big month, but so will November. There are so many waves of energy coming in this year that change is at hand. Now, living in a field of duality, your first question is it going to be good change or is it going to be bad change? Dear ones, that is entirely up to you. How will you integrate this? How will you bring this in? How can that work for each of you? You will decide that entirely on your own. And by becoming change experts, by working with the attribute of change, you not only shift yourself and open up your bodysuit for the greatest of possibilities, but you set the energy for people to follow behind you. Each and every one of you are teachers in your own right, whether you understand that or not. You hold the energy of a teacher, which means that people will follow your light. Very simple. Doesn't mean that you're perfect. Doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. It means that you have to be you. Dare to be the human. Dare to be imperfect. Dare to experience all of it. But when you open your mouth and you share those energies with other people, it takes on a whole different realm. Now you have the capability of building a new world. And that is underway. On top of that, the earth herself is making changes. As we've mentioned before, this timeline cross, which is just completed on the 28th of February. That timeline cross is now left permanent imprints in both your world and theirs. You were together for so long that it will seem very natural to you, and yet the outcomes of many things will start taking on new energies. What must your part be? Your part must be to play the game, to become change experts, to dare to transverse the next gap that you see in your world, to be able to jump across very easily and then hold your hand out for those that wish to follow. Dear ones, welcome home. Your light has been needed on this planet for a long time. We wish to give you nothing more than the confidence to use it, to set it into motion, to create the higher new world that you're stepping into. The planet is going through changes herself, as we've mentioned. And we tell you that even though the feminine energy has been opened on planet Earth now as a result of this timeline cross, her own needs are being met in a new way. So she has capabilities as well that she had not only a short time ago. The new energies are here. You've created that spot for it to happen. So work with the stress. Know that when you feel the stress, it's because you're tired of trying to balance everything. Let it go. Let it be for a moment. Balance oneself first. Finding out what you need in your world to be happy, to be joyous. Dear ones, you deserve to be happy. When you finally end the game of planet Earth altogether and you meet on the other side of the veil, you will slap each other on the back saying, "Wasn't that a wonderful journey?" You will remember the difficulties that you've experienced as great teaching tools. You will look at things in a totally different way. You may start looking at that now. The capabilities of the new world are on all of you at this moment. You are needed, dear ones. You are holding energy that opens the door and brings the blueprints for the new world right in front of all of you. Welcome home, dear ones. We're so glad that you made it at this time. We are here to bring you the larger aspect from our side of the veil. But please know, you all have connections. You all have channels. You all have guidance. It will show you the way. Trust it. Practice it. Work with it on a regular basis and watch what happens in your own world first. And with that, we leave you for a time. We have opened many of the possibilities for you to clear some of this energy right away. So as you start breathing, remember that little simple trick of taking you out of your human reality long enough to let your own being reset its energy. I simply stop breathing. Stop time for that moment. Know that you're never alone, dear ones. We are with you all the time. We are honored to be following your path. You are the greatest angels that have ever lived, and we honor you. With that, we leave you for now. Play well together. Remember to nurture each other. Remember that you're part of each other. You are connected to every other atom on the planet. Give it your best. Smile and remember home. Espabo, dear ones, we are the group of 9, here to remind you of your magnificence. Thank you for taking your